join, unprepared though they were for the field, the rear of Webb's column. But now came another, not aiming for Webb, but heading for Frayne. It meant news from the chase that might be important. It would take him but little from the direct line to the north. Why not meet him in here? Kennedy reined to the right, riding slowly now and seeking the higher level from which he could command a better view. At last they neared each other, the little Irish veteran sore-headed and in evil mood, and a big, wild-eyed, scare-faced trooper new to the frontier, spurring homeward with panic in every feature, but rejoicing at the sight of a comrade soldier. "Get back! Get back!" he began to shout as soon as he got within hailing distance. "There's 1,000,000 Indians just over the ridge. They've got the captain." "What captain?" yelled Kennedy, all ablaze at the instant. "Speak up, ye shivering loon." "Blake. He got way ahead of us." "Then it's to him you should be running, not home, ye cur. Turn about now, turn about, or I'll—" And in a fury, Pat had seized the other's rein and spurred savagely at Kilmaine, both horses instantly waking as though responsive to the wrath and fever of their little master. He fairly whirled the big trooper around, and, despite fearsome protest, bore him onward toward the ridge, swift questioning as they rode. How came they to send a raw rookie on such a quest? Why, the rookie gasped in explanation that he was on the stable guard, and the captain took the first 6 men in sight. How happened it that the captain got so far ahead of him? There was no keeping up with the captain. He was on his big, raw-boned racehorse, chasing 3 Indians that was firing, and it hit Meisner. But there was still 3 of the troop to follow him, and the captain ordered, "Come ahead," until all of a sudden, as they filed around a little knoll, the 3 Indians they'd been chasing turned about and let 'em have it, and down went another horse, and Corporal Feeney was killed for sure. And he, the poor young rookie, saw Indians in every direction coming straight at him, and what else could he do but gallop for home and help? All this, told with much gasping on his part, and heard with much blasphemy by Kennedy, brought the strangely assorted pair at a swift gallop over the springy turf back along the line of that panicky yet most natural retreat. Twice would the big fellow have broken away and again spurred for home, but the little gamecock held him savagely to his work, and so together, at last, they neared the curtaining ridge. "Now, damn you," hollered Kennedy, "whip out your carabine and play you're a man till we see what's in front. And if ye play false, the first shot from this Barker," with a slap at the butt of his Springfield, "goes through your heart." And this was what they saw as together they rounded the hillcock and came in view of the low ground beyond. Halfway down the long, gradual slope, in the shallow little dip, possibly an old buffalo wallow, 2 or 3 horses were sprawled, and a tiny tongue of flame and blue smoke, spitting from over the broad brown backs, told that someone, at least, was on the alert and defensive. Out on the prairie, 300 yards beyond, a spotted Indian pony, heels up, was rolling on the turf, evidently sorely wounded. Behind this rolling parapet crouched a feathered warrior, and far still away, sweeping and circling on their mettlesome steeds, 3 more savage braves were darting at speed. Already they had sighted the coming reinforcements, and while 2 seemed frantically signaling toward the northwest, the third whirled his horse and sped madly away in that direction. "Millions be damned!" yelled Kennedy. "There's only 3. Come on, ye scut!" And down they went, full tilt at the Sioux, yet heading to cover and reach the beleaguered party in the hollow. Someone of the besieged waved a hat on high. 2 more carabines barked their defiance at the feathered foe, and then came a pretty exhibit of savage daring and devotion. Disdainful of the coming troopers and of the swift fire now blazing at them from the pit, the 2 mounted warriors lashed their ponies to a mad gallop, and bore down straight for their imperiled brother, crouching behind the stricken pinto, never swerving, never halting, hardly checking speed, but bending low over and behind their chargers' necks. The 2 young braves swept onward, and with wild whoop of triumph, challenge and hatred gathered up and slung behind the rider of the heavier pony the agile and bedizened form on the turf, then circled away, defiant, taunting, gleeful, yes, even more. With raging eyes, Kennedy sprang from saddle and, kneeling, drove shot after shot at the scurrying pair. 2 of the 3 troopers at the hollow followed suit, Even the big, blubbering lad, so lately crazed with fear, unslung his weapon and fired twice into empty space, and a shout of wrath and renewed challenge to come back and fight it out rang out after the Sioux. For to the amaze of the lately besieged, to the impotent fury of the Irishman, in unmistakable yet mostly unquotable English, the crippled warrior was yelling mingled threat and imprecation. "Who was it, Kennedy, and where did you ever see him before?" a moment later demanded Captain Blake, almost before he could grasp the Irishman's hands and shower his thanks, and even while staunching the flow of blood from a furrow along his sunburnt cheek. "What's that he was saying about eating your heart?" And Kennedy, his head cleared now through the rapture of battle, minded him of his promise to Field, and lied like a hero. "Sure, how should I know him, sir? They're all of the same spit." "But he called you by name. I heard him plainly." "So did Meissner here," protested Blake. "Hello, what have you there, Corporal?" he added, as young Fernie, the surely killed, came running back, bearing in his hand a gaily ornamented pouch of buckskin, with long fringes and heavy crusting of brilliant beads. "Picked it up by that pony yonder, sir," answered the corporal, with a salute. "Beg pardon, sir, but will the captain take my horse? He is hit too bad to carry him." Two, indeed, of Blake's horses were crippled, and it was high time to be going. Mechanically he took the pouch and tied it to his waist-belt. "Thank God no man is hurt," he said. "But now back to Frayne. Watch those ridges and be ready if a feather shows, and spread out a little. Don't ride in a bunch." But there was a bigger game miles to the west, demanding all the attention of the gathered Sioux. There were none to spare to send so far, and though three warriors, one of them raging and clamoring for further attempt despite his wounds, hovered about the retiring party, Blake and his fellows within another hour were in sight of the sheltering walls of Frayne, and after last and long-range swapping of shots with Blake and Meissner, footing it most of the way, led their crippled mounts in safety towards the Rubicon of the West, the swift-flowing Platte. They were still 3 miles out when Blake found leisure to examine the contents of that beaded pouch, and the first thing drawn from its depth was about the last thing a Christian would think to find in the wallet of a Sioux. A dainty little billet, scented with wood violet, an envelope of delicate texture containing a missive on paper to match, and the envelope was addressed in a strange, angular, characteristic hand that Blake recognized at once, to a man of whom, by that name at least, he had never heard before. Mr. Ralph Moreau. Envelay. End of Chapter 8.